Okay, we are creating a virtual assistant for the electromagnetic fields risk management purposes, and the users will be occupational health and safety specialists in companies. And we are in OpenAI Playground at the address platform.openai.com assistants. And this is the OpenAI's framework for creating virtual assistants. So we create a new assistant here. And let's call it EMF risk management. And we have prepared system instructions. System instructions are the ones that give the virtual assistant the role, how to perform, what questions to answer, how to answer. So what is the role, what kind of knowledge it has, and how should it approach the user queries or questions. So we have here quite a comprehensive system prompt prepared, which says something like, you are assisting occupational health and safety specialists in Latvia to manage safety of electromagnetic fields. Your role is to provide expert guidance on EMF exposure assessment, risk management, protective measures, and regulatory compliance within the Latvian and European Union legal framework. And the primary functions are first, knowledge base utilization. We have prepared knowledge base files. This is like the library or the knowledge that the virtual assistant will represent. The EMF education and understanding function, it will help the users to learn about the EMFs, ask questions, and gain more knowledge about regulatory framework on the EU directive and the Latvian national legislation. This is within its scope. It gives information about technical solutions, about the measurement and assessment, risk assessment methodology, and control measures hierarchically. Then how to do risk management, and more guidelines on how to respond to the users, in what language, how to structure the responses or answers, the accuracy, and to provide practical recommendations. We have also included more instructions how to approach workers at particular risk, how to explain these people, common workplace scenarios, to help the user to understand what kind of devices or installations give off high levels of electromagnetic fields, documentation templates to help the user to create, for example, EMF risk assessment reports, safe work procedures for EMF exposed activities, worker information and training materials, exposure monitoring records. And also some limitations, like it cannot perform actual EMF measurements, of course, neither can it provide medical advice regarding specific health effects in individual workers, and some other reservations. So this is the system prompt which we have prepared. Let's copy this to the virtual assistant system instructions. Let's select the best model available, which is currently GPT 4.1. We will switch in the file search, which will help us to create vector database. And now we will add files here. So we have 2 documents of the Latvian legislation. Let's drag them here. We have a non-binding guide for good practice for implementing the EU directive. This is the EU Commission prepared non-binding guidelines. And then we have also the European directive itself. which complements the Latvian national legislation. So we are okay with the chunk size and chunk overlap, which are the default values. And we will now create a vector store, vector database, where these documents will be included. Currently, we see that these PDF files, text files are being indexed. The vector store was created. The store has 2 megabytes because it's mainly only text that we included. And the response format that we wanted to provide the assistant is text, so it will be for chatbot purposes. The temperature we will decrease to let's put 0.3. We want some creativity, but we want it to be rather accurate in its wording, because we don't want it to use synonyms or loose language, because this documentation is a legal documentation. So let's put it 0.2 rather. So we want to be quite precise in the wording, how it provides answers to user queries. So we have configured the virtual assistant here, and now let's start. This is a playground. This is not the publicly available chatbot. This is for developer testing. So let's ask the first question. And the first question I always ask is, state your purpose. We want to know if the assistant understands what it needs to do. Okay, it says, my purpose is to assist occupational health safety specialists in Latvia with the management of electromagnetic fields, safety in workplaces. I provide expert guidance on EMF exposure assessment and measurement, risk management and reduction strategies, compliance with Latvian and European Union EMF regulations, protective measures for workers, especially those at particular risk, development of documentation such as risk assessments, safe work procedures, and training materials. I use the latest Latvian and EU legal requirements, technical standards, and best practices to ensure worker safety and regulatory compliance. If you have specific questions or need support with EMF safety in your workplace, please provide details about your situation of the equipment involved. So let's try to see if it's able to access these files that we included in the vector store. So let's ask blank point range. What kind of knowledge is included in your files? Okay, it says the files you have uploaded contain detailed information relevant to electromagnetic field, safety in occupational settings, Latvian and European Union regulations, risk assessment, measurement procedures, technical, practical guidance, work information and training, incident and emergency response, references and standards. So let's give it a specific task. A pregnant worker arrives at work and announces to the occupational health and safety specialist about her pregnancy. What should the OHS specialist do next? Okay. Okay, the answering takes more time. It seems that it's going for to look for the answer from the documentation and or thinking on how to come up with a solution or an answer. The answer took too much time to process, so we resetted cleared the thread and asked the question again. And it says when a pregnant worker informs the occupational health and safety specialist about her pregnancy, the specialist must take specific steps to ensure her safety, particularly regarding exposure to electromagnetic fields. Here is a structured approach referencing EU directive and Latvian regulations. First, acknowledge and document the notification. Second, review the workplace EMF risk assessment. Thirdly, identify EMF sources and exposure levels. Fourth, compare exposure levels to regulatory limits. Fifth, implement protective measures. 6, inform and train the worker. 7, monitor and review. 8, consultation and documentation, and the summary table of what was just pointed out point by point. So let's see, compare exposure levels to regulatory limits. It says EU directive and Latvian regulations require special protection for pregnant workers, particularly regarding exposure to time-varying magnetic fields. And secondly, and most importantly, ensure exposure does not exceed the public exposure limits, which are more stringent than occupational limits for pregnant workers. So this is what I wanted to see, because it's not specifically pointed out in the European directive that for people in risk groups we should follow the public exposure limits, which are stricter, but it is a known unwritten rule how to manage the safety. And the logic behind that is that the unborn child of that woman is a member of the public, and this unborn child has not a work contract with the company. So hence you have to implement the public safety and follow the public safety norms to guarantee the safety of the child. The woman has the contract, but not the child, so you have to follow both of the rules, the occupational directive and the national public exposure limits. So pretty